see. It's 1:50 in the morning. It's starting really late. Better late than never. Baby's crying, wife's packing still. And I'm still streaming. Yep. You know what? Maybe I should, you don't have any music on here. You know, maybe I should do what Tim Black does. Ebon Kim. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-doo. Ebon Kim. Dee-dee-dee-dee-doo. I don't know. That just doesn't seem like me, though. Hey, Shirley, how's it going? Hey, Jack, how y'all doing? Come on in. You can talk. If not, you guys could just listen. I mean, after plugging myself back in, not with dildos, after plugging myself back in to all the indie media, man, there's just a flood of just shows out there. I think it's kind of good. I mean, everyone has their own flavor. They can choose what they want to watch, what they want to listen to. But you know what? There's one thing that they don't do. This is what I do. This is what we do. What James does, what Dave does, what others are going to start doing. They're going to start talking to each other because you know what? There's only so much that you're saying, hey, do this, do this, do this, or hey, talk about this, talk about this. And they don't do it or they don't talk about it. But you know what? You can talk about it. You can do your own show. You can talk about things that people aren't talking about. And you know what? You can even do it on here. It doesn't matter what I do. What does it matter? How big I get. This is always going to be here for people to come on in and talk. And I may not be on here all the time, but I'll stop in. This is part of my thing. This is part of our thing. You know, you guys are still here. Some people, they left. That's fine. People are going to leave. People are going to come in. We're always going to be moving around. You're going to not see me on YouTube soon. You're going to not see me on Periscope soon. That's probably because they're going to kick me from streaming. But you know what? That's fine. I think that's necessary. That's what they want. But there's going to be people that are fighting it, that are going to keep creating things. Look at Steemit, look at Gab, look at DLive, DTube. All those are just against censoring and trying to be as decentralized as possible. I want to do some training and tutorial stuff. It's a little bit late. Been tired all day. There's a lot of stuff going on. You know what I noticed? When you are angry, when you're I don't know about fear. I guess just anger. Anger takes a lot of energy away. Just gotta refocus and let it all out. Sometimes letting it all out just releases that energy, that pent up energy. Just gotta just let it go. Start again. I have troubles with that. You know, everyone has troubles with that. We gotta just let it out. And you know, you can't think straight that way. You can't think right. So I think that's what messed up my father. He had a lot of anger in him. Kind of makes me, I think that's kind of why Star Wars, the originals, I'm not talking about the prequels, I'm not talking about Force Awakens. This is the original Star Wars trilogy. It's all about Luke, his father, dark side, anger, leads to hate. Breaking that cycle. It was a very philosophical movie once you start getting Empire Strikes Back and all that stuff involved. A lot of us grew up in some type of culture, some type of subculture. Mine was definitely sci-fi based, 80s movies and arcade based. You know, that's why certain genres definitely strike a chord in me. I'm sure certain things, certain genres strike a chord in you guys. I don't know about the Force, Jack. I'm not sure if the Force is with me, but I am with the Force. How about that? Yeah, Shirley. Jimmy Dore. One thing he does do, he calls out what he sees is as bullshit. That's why people like him. That's why they're wondering why he's still hanging around with the bullshit, right? If he's calling out TYT, why is he still with TYT? It would be like if he was with MSNBC or if he was with CNN, he'd be calling out their stuff all day. But if he's still with them, what does that say about him? You know, that's my gripe against Jimmy Dore. And you'll just see every night on his live streams, every night in his comment section, free Jimmy Dore, hashtag free Jimmy Dore, hashtag leave TYT. You don't think he doesn't see it? He sees it. He doesn't talk about it. Let's see. Oh yeah, people leave. Like I said, but you know what? It's funny. Who's Jay's got? Look at him flooding my comments. I like that. I like comments. You know, one thing I will do, I will spend time to reply on certain comments. Not all the time. I mean, I've got stuff to do, but you know what? I like seeing other people's viewpoints. I like seeing what their thought process is. I'm definitely not going to agree all the time. I mean, here's Jay. Sorry. Tired yawning. Oh, and stretching. Yeah. I'm somehow weeding out dissenting views, I guess. I don't know what those dissenting views are. I mean, I have Chuck Morse. I don't agree with him on a lot of his views, but you know what? I like talking with him, and he actually likes talking with people, and he doesn't turn me down. Political Avenger, hey, I've got a lot of different viewpoints with Political Avenger, but you know what? I'll listen to her viewpoints. I hear from her experience. We come from different backgrounds, but you know what? We came to the same conclusion, and you know what? We're coming to the same conclusion because a lot of stuff that's going on is bullshit, and people experience bullshit in their lives, and they know bullshit when they see it. So that's what I and a couple of others we're going to keep doing. We're just going to keep seeing that bullshit and calling it, you know, just like that game. Like silence and dissenting views is not how to grow a movement. Good. Yeah, I agree. And I'm not going to silence dissenting views. Nope. You guys can come on here and dissent as much as you want. Just don't prevent others from using their First Amendment speech. There's me, there's whoever comes on the show. I want them to have their time to talk. I'm not going to, you know, unless you're just talking over them all the time, Kevin, but that's fine, Kevin. Amy, yeah, that's fine, Amy. Just realize what you guys are doing. Not going to silence you. What's the whole point of my platform if I'm just going to silence you? Isolating people? I don't know how I isolate people. I mean, you guys are people. You guys can move. You guys are isolated. You guys can break free. So, you know what? I thought you were gone. You know what? You're back. 2 days later, G. Welcome back. Still commenting on my shows. Still noticing that people are leaving. I thought you were gone. What's going on? Welcome back. Fly's gonna be back. I'm sure Fly's gonna be around, just like Kelly's back. She's gonna be around. She says she's not gonna come back, but you know what? you guys always come back because I'm always here. I'm always allowing you back in. Isn't that funny? Shirley, yeah. Hopefully you come back on. We got to talk Eagles, how they're going to get whooped next year by the Patriots. I know you heard that. And you're going to be like, what? No. Okay. Rip me a new hole for that comment, I'm sure. Oh man. It's good to talk. It is a release. And I don't really talk very often. What am I drinking? I'm just drinking water. Clean, maybe not so pure water. Yeah, you'll see Jenks and Alex Jones talking to each other. You know what? It's all a show. You guys are watching it. You guys are paying into it. That's why I'm gonna eventually get out of YouTube. Because YouTube is a trap if you think about it. And I wanted to test out my hypothesis, and it kind of worked, and it kind of didn't. What you end up seeing is you're not going to be very well. You're not going to see certain things on YouTube and on Twitter, on Periscope, Facebook. They have algorithms and it's been proven. You just look around. There's videos on it. I don't even have to do it. They ensure that certain types of programs don't get a lot of recommendations. You won't see certain recommendations unless you actually subscribe to it, or you're actually watching certain videos, and you might do like a search on YouTube for it, and you might see it. I mean, that's how I found Chuck Morris. That's how I found Political Avenger. That's how I found a lot of people. That's how I found Dr. Shiva. And talking about Dr. Shiva, look, who else has interviewed Dr. Shiva? He will interview anybody. He'll take on anybody and go on air. And who's doing that in the media? Nobody. Why is it me? And you know why it's me? Because I want to do something. Because I notice others aren't doing anything that they should be doing. He's got a real chance to get Elizabeth Warren out, to confront Elizabeth Warren on topics she's not discussing even. That's needed. I don't care how good you think someone is. Put someone who's running against them on, give them some time, give them some air, give them time to talk, give them a platform to talk, give them a platform for others to see, and get their viewpoints as why they're running against them. What is it that someone's doing that they just feel so strongly that they want to run against them for? You can look at Sam Ronan, and people will contact me. That's awesome. Twitter, they'll contact Paul Chapman contacts me, and look at Sam Ronan. At first I didn't see eye to eye with Sam, just turning from first running as a Democrat and then now running as a Republican. But you know what? After talking with Paul, even though it's probably not admitted, but it's the idea of primarying. What's his name? The guy in Ohio. I'm sorry, my mind's just not there yet. I don't prep. I don't have teleprompts. I don't even take notes. I just talk. The only time I'll have notes is when I'm actually have some type of on point topic. I typically don't have notes. Everything's in my head. If my head's messed up, I'm not gonna be concentrating too good. Shirley, her new song is good one. Yeah, Shirley, I did see. It's I mean, he's doing something. Look, you're rich, you're accomplished. Why do you want to run? And I think after the second interview with Dr. Shiva, I agree. I think like people are sacrificing their time, sometimes their livelihood, to do what they think is right because they see things not going so well, not just for others, but just pretty much the world, really. I'm still formulating. I mean, this is a small thing that I'm doing, and it's a big thing. It's small and big. It's a little bit of both. I mean, for me, it's just small effort. It's time. It's a little bit of effort to make it grow and keep going, and have others do it. Yeah, that's big. And I'm doing it, and you guys are here with me, and hopefully, you guys can do it too. I mean, even if you don't want to do it, that's fine. You guys support in other ways, not just me, but other people. You guys support James. You guys support Eric, I'm sure. Just tweets. You guys found each other. You guys stick with each other. You guys say, hey, look at this show. Hey, look at this show. That's great, because otherwise it's just kind of like one of those movies where they maybe had one trailer ever and that's it, because they didn't really have a budget. But you know what? Those movies had word of mouth. Someone saw it, said, hey, you guys should watch this movie. I know you guys don't know what it is, but it was probably one of the best movies out there. And it's like, what? I never even heard of this movie. And then you go out there and you watch it, and you go, holy crap, that was like one of the best movies ever. Word of mouth. That's how things have always been. That's how we get past this this mainstream media narrative control, whatever you call it. We just have to talk to each other. Let's see. Yeah, you do, surely. You have to watch out why professionals run. They do want money. And people want money. Now, see, if people got into Dr. Shiva and looked at his history, asked for, that's why some people just ask for their, I don't know what you call it, their tax returns. That's why a lot of people, and they'll show their tax returns. But the thing is, how do you gauge that? Because we see people who have money running as politicians. So, in my opinion, I would rather have someone who doesn't have a lot of money run and get elected, see what happens, than someone who does have a lot of money run and get elected, because typically the ones who have money that run just want more money. So yeah, we might have to balance that and see what's going on. The lady Dave talked about, she was cool. She will say, shut the fuck up. Her name is Deb Bella Piana. Yeah. And that's great. And people, people who get offended by language, they should get offended by language. You know what they shouldn't get offended at? When we kill people because of said language. Yeah. Doesn't that make sense? People are going to get offended. That's fine. That's the beauty of the First Amendment. You can be offended, but you know what? You can't kill people or hurt people because of what they say. That is illegal. And people do get angry. That's fine. You can vent. You can talk. You could, you know what? You could go, I'm not listening. I'm not listening. You could do that. You don't have to listen. People who might be offended at people who cuss all the time. Don't stop watching. Why are you watching? People like me who are isolating and dissenting people's voices. Like, there's a description box. Come on and join. Hey, look, there's a chat box. Go on and chat. You guys don't have to listen. You guys don't have to watch. I could be out here, nobody on, and that's happened. if you go back, there's shows where I'm probably talking for about half an hour, nobody's showing up. That's fine. I'll talk. Talk about nothing. Talk about something. Talk about movies. Talk about politics. Talk about conspiracy theories. I love conspiracy theories because if I want to believe, like you guys say, like I always say, I don't really believe. But if I am going to believe in something, I'd rather believe in a conspiracy than the fact that we're not conspiring. We don't have powerful people conspiring at all. We're just a human species that's just coincidentally just fucking up stuff because we just kind of suck as a species. I'd rather, that's very daunting, I guess you could say. I'd rather not think that about our species. I'd rather think that there are a small portion, just like any other species or any other type of group that takes things to a whole new level that maybe other parts of a species don't exhibit certain behavior. Just look at, the closer we are to a certain species, you're going to recognize that. You've got the chimpanzees, Jane Goodall, who one of my favorite behavioral psychology. Well, I don't think she was behavioral. Animal behaviorist. There you go. She observed chimpanzees attacking, killing other chimpanzees, and eating them, cannibalism. And I'm pretty sure not all chimpanzees do that. Certain groups do, and that stuff is great to actually observe and actually show people, because there are groups like that in the human species. There are ones, that do some horrible shit. But you know what? They don't represent the entire human species. So that's where I'm getting at. I would rather want to believe that there are those out there, and our entire species isn't the entire representation of what's going on. That's why you guys are here, I'm pretty sure. That's why there are a lot of other people that are watching other channels that are like, hey, you know what? This world, these people, wherever they may be, whether they're Luciferians, whether they're just big oligarchs or Illuminati or some other secret society or Freemasonry, or just, greedy motherfuckers. They need to get, they need to get the hell out. They need to step down, because where we're going, it's not good. Not just for us, other species. We share the earth with however many millions of different species of life out here. And we're not just affecting us, we're affecting them. And that ain't cool. Not to me. Yeah, Jack. Man-made climate change. Yeah, I see it. I see it happening. We're just ramping up technology, ramping up energy. Like even live streaming, even doing this takes up a lot of energy. Your phone, whether you're using a phone that doesn't take up a lot of electricity to run, the mechanism behind it, all the computers and servers running to encode behind the scenes and stream live to everyone else, and everyone else is watching, that takes up a lot of energy. Whether your electric service is run by coal, run by hydro, run by gas, run by whatever, it takes up energy. So yeah, it's almost like a necessity, necessary evil in a way. I mean, we need energy to continue. We need life to continue. I don't care if you're a hunter or a vegan. Death is a part of life. You need energy in order to continue. But you know what? When you're dead, you're giving back. Hopefully, when you're dead, you just get buried in the ground, no coffin. You don't need a $10,000 or $100,000 coffin when you're dead. You're dead. Don't burden other people in your life with that type of money. Just find a little bit of wooden box, have them put you in it, let them bury you, let the worms eat you, let the bacteria, take over your body, your corpse, and let the beetles, let the worms, let all those animals and take your energy and produce more life with it. That's what we need. So it's a different outlook on life and death for me. It's it makes I really more kind of go to the side of philosophy rather than religion. It's not really a set of belief, it's a set of patterns. It's a set of thought processes. It's not based on a book written by people however many centuries after something, or stories told by people who didn't understand what's going on, and just or even just word of mouth. That telephone game where someone says something to someone's ear, they say something to someone's ear and try to repeat it. By the time it gets down to 10, 20, 30 people, it's totally different from what was originally said. So how do we expect oral stories in history to eventually get written? And then when it's written by certain people in society who control society, who want to control people, right? How is that going to be 100% accurate? It's not. All right, let's go on in chat. Okay, yeah, hurry back, Shirley. Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of energy, like I said, within, not just within the mantle, the core of our Earth. We can even tap that for energy if we wanted to. That's something that's there, something that won't drain. That although it's kind of natural, we're not drilling. However far into our crust to get at that the black gold, you could say. And you know what? It's all death. If you think about it, oil, natural gas, it's all because of death. It's and we're tapping into that death and spraying around all over. If you think about it, it's kind of like War of the Worlds, where they're just spraying stuff all over the place and trying to change the environment of Earth. It's like that. Yeah, we're taking death and spraying it around. If you think about it a certain way, that's what we're doing. Let's see. Our technology. I said this before. We have technology that's doing a lot of great and crazy things, but you know what? It still hasn't gotten to the point where it's better than anything in life. And it's going to be hard to. I mean, as smart as we are, as smart as what we can create, there's still things out there that's better, that's naturally occurring. And that's what a lot of research is, scientific research, because all the ideas that people have, it's just what they observe in nature. If you look at what's that? When people turn invisibility stuff. What's that term? Goodness gracious. It's when you can blend into the background. You might need to help me with that. Oh shoot, what happened, Kath? Yeah, car crash isn't a light thing. I was in a small car crash and my knee was messed up for months. So You know, it's no joke here, especially if someone's going over 30 miles per hour at least. Anyways, what was I saying? Let me see. I may have to Google it. Sorry, I need to get out of Google, but Google's so simple. DuckDuckGo. I need DuckDuckGo. Let's see. Like squids and octopus, where they could blend into the background. I'm trying to find that word. And you know what? What they found, I'm not sure if squids are probably the same way as octopus. I mean, they're related, I'm sure. You know that each of their tentacles have their own nervous system, central nervous system. Isn't that crazy? We're not gonna have robots built that way at first. We're gonna have robots where they're gonna mimic us. They're gonna have one central nervous system. You know, when I start worrying about AI and robots, is when they have central nervous system, like not in just their head, but or their body, but also in their arms and legs. And basically, you cut one off, and the rest will keep going. That's like, or if you shoot the brain, right? It's like, oh no, it's gonna keep going. That's when we have a problem, I think, because it's very hard to kill something if it can keep going. Camouflage. Thanks. Close. Bruins. Camouflage. You know, we're going to have technology with camouflage. We're going to have technologies where we're mimicking nature, because you know what? Nature, look at us flying now. And where do we get that concept? It's not new. It's stuff that's been going on. People observed in nature birds, and they go, hey, we need to fly. They found in nature certain fish. Hey, we need to get in the water. We need to do that stuff. They observed in nature probably a trunk of or big trunk of just wood floating on a body of water. You know, hey, look, we could cross this river just by floating, standing on stuff. That's how boats came to be. That's how planes came to be. We observe stuff that naturally occurs in nature, and we try to mimic it. It's not like it's not very imaginative. It's just, hey, it clicks. Hey, something else is doing it. We could do it. Why not? So nature, animals, life, not just animals, plants, mushrooms. There's a certain word for it. It's 2:30, almost 2:30 a.m. So I'm not going to be quite firing on all cylinders, if you know what I mean. I'm just glad you're all right, Kathy. That's that sucks. Yeah, well, with the weather and all, you're gonna have a lot of accidents out there, so be careful. Oh, hey, Garden, how's it going? Yeah, you know what? We gotta do something special when it's like a year anniversary of this platform. How long have we been going? It's not quite a year. It's almost a year. It's probably like 10 months. So I'll try to set up something for our yearly, like a yearly special. I think it should. Not that I care about like holidays or anniversaries, but I know some people do. I care more about what other people care about than what I care about, because I don't really care about much. I think that might be a problem, because when people ask me something and I'll say, yeah, sure, I don't care. That's kind of my typical response, because most of the time I don't really care. Just go with the flow. But I like to be asked, because if I do care, I'll say, yeah, hey, what about this? I don't think we should do that, or whatever. But generally, I'm either for it or against it. Just let me know, just so I can be for or against it. And if I'm for it, then I'm like, good, run with it, because I don't want to give specifics. If you have something that you want to do, go and do it. It's a good idea. If it affects me and I don't like it, then no, don't do it. I'd say it. Do it, but don't do it. You see what I mean? Let's see. And what I like about this is it's about viewpoints. It's not just about your beliefs. It's not just about how smart you are. It's about your outlook, your perspective, not just on life, but in certain situations. Politics is one. Governance is another. How we should operate is another thing. How we can do things not just individually but as a group. It's very. I mean, that's why a lot of you guys watch other people in the media, because they give you a perspective that other people aren't, and it's just because they're popular doesn't mean that's the only type of perspectives out there. There's people who aren't popular. There's people who have a lot of experience but can't say or do certain things because they're legally bound not to. There are people like them out in the world. There are people who know a lot of shit and they're afraid to speak out. Fear is a big thing. And it's also obligations. Like, if I was in the military or something and I couldn't speak about certain things, I probably wouldn't speak about it. Just look at Edward Snowden. He gave up a lot of stuff to talk about certain things because he found that certain things weren't right. Hey, how's it going, Guard?
What's up, dude? Check.
Yeah, late night.
I just got home.
Yeah, Jinx is working. It's too hard. I'm telling you, you gotta jump ship. RT, just go with Russia. They own us anyway.
I'm out looking for a job, man.
Oh, you are?
There's been some cutbacks at TYT. I think they foresee some trouble ahead, so they're cutting back on staff.
Oh, that's why we don't have Jordan Sheridan 2.0 out yet.
Well, that's what I was hoping to be, but instead I'm stuck like scrubbing out the TYT restrooms and trolling the internet, trying to scam donations for Wolfpack.
I know.
Spreading lies about TYT's enemies.
Yeah. That stuff is necessary. I mean, you got to troll the trolls and bring the trolls back into trolling for you, not against you, you know?
I got Debbie again the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she called me out on it again. Except this time she was like nicer about it. Like in the previous instances, she would get pissed.
Yeah.
And like, she got the joke for what it was this time, but there's been times in the past where she's gotten pissed. How did you don't say that about me? Blah blah blah. I'm just making it like my usual, pretty innocent jokes. Like one time I said she would fucking kick somebody, like kick Anna or something. I forget what it was. And she went off about like nonviolence. She went on this whole spiel about like nonviolence. As if like I was seriously suggesting she would kick Anna.
Yeah.
So what's up with your move, man? Like, when are you doing that?
Well, we are moving in steps. So you'll see me on the road pretty soon. And then once we're on the road and, we're there, the vehicle's there, like our car needs to get there. So yeah, I'll be just flying back and forth. I'm pretty much obligated myself, and not because I had to, but like end of April at the most. So if like I'm paying the rent for that, just so helps my owner have like ease of mind, if you could say that. I can't remember certain terminology. I'm sorry.
Well, you don't want to get, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to get there and you want to get in good with this guy.
Yeah, my landlord now. So she, I mean, so she's like, sometimes I'll do that too. Like if we're staying at a place, but we're going to be buying a place. We won't worry about that stuff anymore. But I'm just saying we're leasing here, and she's leased out for us for like at least 8 years, maybe 10. We can't quite remember. But it's, she's a great person. So don't want her to worry. I mean, she has a lot of stuff to worry about. She pays an arm and a leg to take care of her mom. Because, of course, healthcare is expensive as fuck in this country. And it's incredible how much people pay. I mean, they could save up millions, and it's gone in almost like an instant because they have to take care of loved ones.
Trust me, dude. I know.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, right there, Card.
Excuse me. He's trying to get settled in for the night, as they say.
That must be some strong stuff.
Well, it's this damn bubble hash.
Oh.
Anyway, like, yeah, I know how it is. Like, my mom died in 2011, and I had to pay off about $30,000 in medical bills. So.
Oh, sorry, Garden.
But so I know how it is firsthand, and I've seen it, beyond my own experience. I've seen it happen time and time again to people much worse than my circumstance.
Yeah. I mean, it's how it happened to Snork with his wife.
Yeah.
So, that's another thing. When I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. Wife, kids, nah. I know when I'm ready. Ryan, how's it going? Welcome, my Aussie brother.
What's up, Ryan? What's up, dude? You might be muted or something.
It's not muted.
How you going?
Oh, how are you doing?
Yeah, just setting up.
Cool.
Do you like my new hat?
Yeah, I noticed that first thing. Why not a 4-leaf clover? Why a 3-leaf? Don't you want the extra clover for the luck? Or is that like a sports?
Boston Celtics.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
No wonder you're shaking your head. You should recognize that, for God's sake.
Well, no, but usually it's like a sports team logo. It's usually like the team name and not really just the logo. So
I got this one too.
All right, there we go. So what draws you into the Celtics? I take it you're not a Lakers fan. Why the Celtics?
I just like Larry Bird and Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, and when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So it's just like basketball got really big in the 90s here.
Yeah.
It exploded. And yeah.
Yeah, we've had some good Australian players in the NBA. I mean, It's great that exploded over in Australia. And Australia's actually been doing pretty good as far as like world championships and Olympics. They've come in like second, third behind the US, of course.
Oh, they haven't medaled yet, so
they haven't. I thought they had, or maybe I'm thinking about the women's team.
Women's team does really well. Yeah, women's teams come second a lot of times behind the USA.
Yeah, and the Europeans, I forget which one. Is it like Lithuania and Spain has been good recently. Serbia. That's one thing I will watch Olympics for is like basketball. That would like
I've been watching the Winter Olympics and I've been watching curling.
Oh, I haven't really tuned in, but what I hate is right now they have it all, I think, at one TV network, which is like NBC, and they do this every couple of years. It's like they'll only show the US team competing. They could be like not placing a medal, and they'll be showing like 5th place American routine, and it's like, show us the 1st place medal run, show us other countries, right?
Show us the top tier like competitions, you know?
Yeah.
Regardless of the sport.
Well, Australia doesn't have very many athletes in the Winter Olympics because we don't get snow. We get snow in a couple of mountains in between Sydney and in between Victoria and New South Wales on the border. But other than that, we don't get snow.
Yeah.
We don't do the ice rinks or anything like that. So what we end up getting is like endless telecasts of figure skating. And then when the figure skating's over, speed skating.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. I want to see curling.
Yeah.
You know what curling is?
Yep.
Yeah.
When I wanted to make it in the Olympics for anything, I wanted to do it for curling because that would be the easiest way to get in.
Mm-hmm.
It's oddly fascinating for a while watching curling.
Yeah.
It's the one sport where you don't actually have to draw a sweat.
Yeah. It's more based on your talent for it, I guess, or just your work ethic, your practice. The funniest thing I think about is, you know how when you hear in the Olympics, like they're just all those hormones, you know, they're having sex like all the time. They give you a figure of how much condoms were handed out. It's usually like in the hundreds of thousands. and so you're out there in the Olympic Village, and like your body is like us, and they're like, so what are you? What do you do? Curling is probably their bet, but you know, people who are like the super athletic built and ripped bodies are probably getting laid all the time, and the curling people are probably just still out drinking it.
The American team that was on last night, that was against Norway, was a husband and wife team.
Oh,
I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah.
You can't go out and sow your wild oats. What happens at the Olympics stays at the Olympics type thing, because you got your wife there.
Yeah. Well, you could be, you know, one of those swinging couples.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, it's for young people anyway. You rarely see many people our age being able to compete at a high level.
No.
Except for curling.
Yeah. You know, you could argue that all sports are about fine motor control, right? But like curling is exclusively about fine motor control.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to wipe away that friction away from that thing while simultaneously sliding the weight of your body in a very specific way, like down that line. I can watch curling for about 20 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I can watch it for a little bit. Like I can't follow curling, for example, but it's kind of interesting in its own way.
I watched it for 3 hours last night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was nothing else on, so I just thought, well, I'm just going to kick back. I tried to read a book, but I'm not a reader. I'm not a book reader. I'm an audiobook person, and I just couldn't get into this book. I was just like, let's watch curling.
I haven't caught any of the games yet. I've been busy. My damn heater went out, so I had to fix that. And then I had some friends in town tonight, so I haven't had the chance, man. I like to watch the Olympics.
Yeah, I just don't like complaining about why, like all the commercials.
Yeah.
I heard that like on Twitter, someone posted like during the opening ceremony, even the moderators, whatever, were just talking over the ceremony. It's like, shut up, let us listen to the music, listen to the music. And then they had like these Korean speakers talking in Korean, and they didn't even have translators. So it's like, Instead, you just hear these moderators just talking over everything. It's like, shut up.
Ads drive me crazy, man. Like in any context, and they load them the fuck up during these special events, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching curling on my smartphone, and every, I don't know, 10 minutes there'd be an ad would pop up, an ad or two, and I'm just like, and they're like, oh, you can not have ads if you pay us money, and I'm just like, I'll live with the ads.
You know what? You know what would be awesome? You know what would make me like really like a company? Like the only way you could get me to really like a company would be to at the beginning of a TV show or something, be like, this show is ad free, brought to you by Tide. And that's it. And like that's it. Like this
they kind of used to do it like that, man.
Like just buy up all the space and then like just skip it, and then it's like at the end you can just like play like some serene music or something, some nice jazz or something to make the space in between. Like
I want to do that. If we are able to garner money on mainstream media, is like these commercials that you're not seeing is brought to you by Kind of Light Media.
Right.
And they'll be like, hey, that's awesome. No commercials.
Yeah, especially if people are used to like gruesome amounts of commercials, or like just like it's the worst part of it. Like, oh, commercials. Like, then you compress all this stuff together, and then at the end it's like just like some nice, easy listening.
Yeah.
Well, the horrible thing is like they do that for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's to get past your conscious brain, so you stop paying attention to like the content of the commercial and just let it slip in.
Yeah.
So the more they overload you with them, like the more that effect settles in.
Yeah. And the commercials are very good these days. Have you noticed how they just draw people into just watching it?
I think the best commercials are the ones that confuse you and perplex you. Like you're like, what? And you're like, huh? And then it just makes you think like that. And I think that's how they get you, is like they get deeper and they know what they're doing. They get like they get your inquisitive nature. If they can get you like deeply puzzled and dumbfounded and curious, it's like, and they got you, then you're gonna remember it, you know?
Yeah, like what's his name? Matthew McConaughey in the Lincoln commercials.
They're just doing something that in your brain's like you're trying to make a connection, and there's no freaking connection whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's like oh, see, haha, it's fun, haha.
Yeah.
Endorsements.
Well, you're getting a weird mix of people that are creating commercials and, for that matter, other content today. You're either getting these people who are connected peripherally in one way or another. Maybe they're relatives, maybe they're friends, whatever, on one end. And then those people, some of them have talent, some of them straight up don't. But they'll just keep advancing in their job because they're Jack's fucking nephew or something. But then you get the other class of people who are, you know, work for almost nothing. And you get this pool of like just random artists from around the country that come to like places like California or New York, and they'll work for fucking nothing. But that's where you're going to get your real talent. Like I like that Jean-Claude Van Damme commercial that you showed. Remember that the other night?
Mm-hmm.
That, like, you know, the content of the commercial was, you know, whatever, but there was a very interesting, visually it was interesting. It presented like this strange optical illusion if you watch it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, you're incorporating like that kind of thing into commercials now. Like things like that David Lynch would do in a film, people are starting to do in commercials now.
Yeah. Because commercials used to be about the product, like represent the product, but now it has nothing to do with the product. It has everything to do with the branding.
I just wanted to say real quickly, or I mean to interrupt. Sorry, for interrupt. But yeah, it's just I was gonna say I think I find about 1 out of every 100 commercials pleasant, and probably about only 10% really not annoying.
Yeah.
I'll even watch YouTube ads on, say, something like I was watching one of James's and had an ad. I'll watch it for the people that I think deserve it, but I won't watch the ad if it's like if I'm watching something like if I want to see what Shapiro wants to say. I just go on, don't want to see it. But other than that, I just let ads play and not pay any attention to them at all.
Yeah.
I just don't like the ones that, especially they're trying to use like psychological ploys and stuff.
They all do that. Oh. Sorry, that's my dog scraping. He's got a habit of scratching the carpet. It drives me nuts.
But and there's other reasons to analyze ads as well. Like it can be, like for example, there was that Snork and I were talking one night about the series of ad that's been appearing on YouTube featuring, I can't remember his name again. He's super famous Bollywood actor, right? And we're like, why are they continually showing this ad? And we went through it and analyzing the messages that these people are trying to send you can be instructive in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, media and advertising analysis isn't worthless, but there's a far cry from that and like just sitting in front of your TV and letting the messages soak in,
Yeah. Oh, so James has just stopped in and say hi. So he streamed like a practice with his kids for football, and I was just critiquing his coaching style. Like he's pretty patient with his kids. Hey, come on, try it again, good job. But me, like my mind training as I see it when my kids get older is gonna be pretty harsh. Like, drop and give me 20, don't talk back, go run a lap. I'll be doing that stuff. And I mean, but to a good point, like for example, one of his kids James is coaching his kid to be a quarterback, and his other son is being a receiver. But what you should be doing, James, is your kid who's receiving, put his hands out where your other son who's throwing the ball should be aiming, because you want a certain angle where you want the ball, not necessarily being around the vicinity of the receiver, but where, anyways. I always wanted to be a coach, but who knows? Maybe I will be able to.
Little League.
Nebraska, man, yeah.
But yeah, it's different. It's funny how like your childhood influences kind of, you kind of pass that along to the next generation. Either your work ethic or your training ethic or whatever that gets retained. And if you don't like it, of course you're never going to use it. So like I'm definitely would use like my junior high school coaches, their training and work ethic, and definitely not my high schools. But anyways, sorry that segued off.
Well, what made you choose Nebraska? What was like the major factor?
Well, we wanted to just be at least close to family, so it's close to my wife's family. She was born in Omaha, so her family, a lot of her family's in Omaha, maybe one in Lincoln. So they're at least around to help out. And other choices in Washington State near Issaquah, where my brother and my mom could help out, but it's also expensive there. I love it in the Pacific Northwest, but also, I mean, there's also issues there. But she tried finding a job in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle and couldn't really. So she did in Columbus. So that's where we're going there.
Have you spent a lot of time in Nebraska? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah. Well, we almost go there every year. I think there might have been like, since I met with my now wife, every year except for maybe 2 years we've been there to visit. So it's mostly in the eastern Omaha region. I've done some fishing there, not too far. That's about it. There's we did drive to Seattle from Omaha, going through Yellowstone National Park. So I have driven through certain parts of it.
Whoa, did you guys took the long, well, no, maybe not. I was gonna say you took the long way, but maybe not if you're going to Seattle. So I went to cross the 80 and then went to Portland. So
yeah,
but that's probably, it could be a different way.
Yeah, I mean,
is 80 the one that goes through South Dakota?
I think that's 90.
No, that's 90. 80 goes through Nebraska.
All right.
Omaha seemed nice, I thought, but we just drove like the interstate and stuff.
Yeah, they're building a lot. I think it'll grow a lot, I think, because what attracts people is just the price of living, the not so heavy traffic, and people are going to go from bigger cities to more rural areas. It's just going to happen, especially in this economic climate. I'm sorry.
Have you ever lived in a small town, dude?
No.
There you go. You're gonna there's gonna be some culture shock. Just be prepared for that.
Oh, I've been to small towns and stuff like that. Not lived. I'm okay with it.
Small town for like 9 years.
Yeah.
Like population 1,200.
I went from growing up in a city to living in a small town to moving to cities. Mm-hmm. I like cities where I like to live in the city, but I like to live in cities where I can drive 10 minutes and be away from the city. Or I can drive a half hour, just be totally away from the city.
Right, dude. Yeah, it sucks when it's you gotta fight traffic and consider hours of driving and to get out of the city.
Yeah, I mean, I like here Northeast or the New England is I could drive an hour and a half and be in some remote area, farm country, etc., or over in the at the Cape, or kind of New Hampshire or something where it's just kind of remote. It's not necessarily out of well, actually there are some mountains and stuff where you can kind of be out of nowhere. You're not totally isolated in the middle of nowhere. You're just in a nicer, less populated scenic area.
It's gonna be crazy. Have you always lived in Boston pretty much, or what?
No, I was born in Houston, Texas. Lived most of my life moved over to the Seattle, Federal Way, Seattle area. Lived there until joined the military, the Navy, kind of out near Chicago, Great Lakes area. Then stationed in Pensacola, then stationed back in Bremerton, and then moved over to Boston here a decade ago.
You'll probably miss the ocean a little bit.
Oh yeah, I love the ocean. That's why I like the Navy.
I only lived on the ocean 3 months of my life, and that was in Qingdao, China. Yeah. I loved it. It was amazing. Especially the cool thing about that was kind of watching boats at night. Yeah. That was amazing.
If I could definitely live on the sea, have a boat and just live on the boat and sail. I could do that.
Well, that's what makes the Pacific Northwest so awesome, man, because you've got mountains, you've got cliffs, you've got the ocean right there. There's a lot of pluses to living on the, around the Lost Coast area, but it's broke. You better have some kind of an income living around there, but
yeah,
it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I know a couple, my parents' friends, really good friends. They sold their house and bought a yacht for the same price of their house after they retired, and went and lived for a year and a half in the Caribbean, sailed around, and they wanted to do it longer, and they regretted that they didn't. And they out by themselves, and they came back and bought another house. And then we go. And they said they lived for 6 whole weeks at one point on this island with just 2 trees on it, and just hung out, snorkeled, and played around. They also said they were able to buy like gin and stuff from some countries and then go to other countries and sell it because the taxes and the prices were super different.
Yeah,
big trades and stuff.
It's like being a smuggler. Just get around the tariffs and all that stuff.
There'll be plenty. People love.
I mean, I heard before they have like a quota. It's like if you have under so much marijuana or something, they're probably just gonna like let you go. You're just too small fish,
Yeah. Garden, what were you saying?
People love football in Nebraska, man. So if you have some skills and you can display them to the schools, I'm sure their football programs are revved up at an early age. So you'll start out as an assistant coach or some shit, and then move your way up. You're gonna be there for a while, man. So
yeah,
sounds like it.
And for me, being a coach is more like working with everyone, not just the ones who are going to be playing, because there'll be I think it should be shared time, especially at a young age, and just being able to know what you need to work on, and even the ones who are good, what they should also have to keep working on. And it's just I just feel like right now the focus is always on training the good ones who have talent, and not necessarily getting everyone else, because even the ones who don't make it, I mean, they can contribute in other ways, because the ones who don't have the physical talent, they have may have mental talent, strength, or just it's a drive, inner drive. I mean, when you hear the story of Michael Jordan, where he didn't make it in high school.
Baseball.
Yeah. No, in high school.
Yeah.
He got cut from the high school team. Maybe not once, but even twice. But he just kept at it and working at it because he had a drive to do it. And just finally someone gave him a chance, and he that's when he took off. But that's also that. Was that?
Literally.
Yeah.
Something just clicked in his head, dude. That's always been my theory. Maybe it was something that would seemingly be totally unrelated, and maybe that he wasn't aware of even. But combine that with the training, something clicked in his head, because he all of a sudden became a super athlete really fast.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's maybe I can't speak for him, of course, but for me, it's spite. Like when someone tells me, "Oh, you're not good," or "You'll never have what it takes," and I'll just go as hard as I can, and then I'll prove it to them, and just to shove it back in their faces. Really, I mean, it happened to me when I was in Navy in Pensacola. They had a basketball team, and it's just rollerblade to and from, and play basketball all day, and try to make one of the teams, and they didn't. And they had like a 3-on-3 tournament, and so ended up doing. I'm not sure how far we went. We had a small team, but we're just all shooters, all like my size, 5'8", no one over 6 foot, and we were just. I think we might have gotten. I'm not sure if we've got first or second or third, but we did really good and beat a couple of people that were on that basketball team. But then again, it's also upbringing, I guess. Like if you think about the Navy, a lot of people who join military are poor. They don't have many chances, and they're very diverse. You will see a lot more Black people, Hispanic people in the military than white people. Well, at least in the Navy. And majority of the people on that team were all Black, maybe one white guy, of course, no Asian, no Hispanic. But that's like the typical makeup a basketball. But so it's like hard for me to complain because for a lot of these kids, it's like that's all they got, and so I'm like, okay, that's fine. But the drive in me, whatever you call it, is spite. It's like you didn't pick me for the basketball team. I'm going to show you guys up in this tournament. So that's how I think about things. And yeah.
So have you looked like at the national and state parks around where you're going to be living? Are you familiar with what's around you as far as hunting and fishing opportunities and?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that.
Just any kind of recreational opportunities, basically.
There's a lot of like public lands where you can hunt and fish and whatnot. As far as parks, they're kind of few and far between, or they're all kind of huddled in the bigger cities like Omaha. Basically, if anywhere that we want to go to, like a big national or state park, is probably can be like an hour and a half to like 3-hour drive. But there are public land areas that aren't that far. I mean, it's farm country. There's going to be a lot of animals out there.
Well, that's the thing about farm country. Like I've driven through Nebraska, but I've never hung out in it. And
there's nothing.
Well, a lot of states are.
The whole state really, besides Omaha and stuff. As far as the Interstate 80, man, I don't know. It seemed really bleak and empty and flat. But
that's kind of the way it seemed to me.
I tried to figure out halfway at night, and the air was really cool at night and nice, and I'm sure the stars would be amazing, and the air would be really fresh. So.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it seemed fenced off to me.
Omaha, you got a city, but other than that, would you go Kansas City?
Ben,
it's pretty far.
Ben, just try not to talk over when Garden's going. And same. Garden, you were saying, sorry.
It just some states are really fenced off, like. The land is all privately owned, or the majority of it, so it's all fenced off. Like Ohio is like that. Like there's not really a whole lot of long distance hiking or parks or anything you can go to. And I wonder if Nebraska's that way.
I'm pretty sure it could be because of the farms. They just don't want people going into like open land where other people might buy it. But there are like public areas where they probably do allow it. Majority though, if you follow a river, the area around it is pretty public, so you can always do a lot of like foraging, fishing, hunting around rivers, although a lot of rivers of course aren't very clean. What I'm worried about is all the agriculture runoff from all the farms. So fishing, I'll probably, as far as eating the fish, it'll be in like the ponds and the lakes that are stocked, or reservoirs, not necessarily where it goes into a bigger runoff like a river or a stream. Is that a problem in Australia, Ryan?
Yep, sure is. Yep. But we have a problem where the rivers are going dry because there's greedy people sucking all the water out and holding them in massive ponds.
Wow. Yeah.
So you go past like the biggest river in the country and it's bone dry because farmers have been sucking the water out for decades.
Yeah, that's messed up.
I'm looking at this, man. Like I must be wrong. It's stating that Nebraska only has like 10 state parks in the entire state. That seems pretty low.
Yeah. But it's not that bad. Like if we wanted to drive to Yellowstone, that's like 6.5 hour drive maybe, which is I do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but it's just not just a matter of going to the parks, but just how much land is publicly available. Because I'm telling you, man, in Ohio, it's a real problem. Like every place is owned by someone and it's all fenced off. The entire
problem in Oregon.
I hear 6 hour drive and I say, no.
Yeah.
There's a pretty famous thing you can find online. I think there's a book about it. It's like 60 miles within, or 60 trails within 60 miles of Portland.
Yeah.
There's like a 26-mile trail on Mount Rainier, I think. There's all kinds of massive, just everything. There's trails around Mount Hood. There's like, I guess, a couple different lines and stuff that you can go to the summit, and everything. There's a lot of beautiful parks on the coast. I guess they've like encroached on a lot of them, like they do everywhere. But still a lot of nice forests, national forests.
Any coastline is going to have a lot of stuff. That's the great thing. The flatlands, middle of nowhere, you're not going to have a lot of interesting things.
There's four state fish hatcheries in Nebraska.
Like what I wanted to do eventually is have like a small, like man-made reservoir or pond for fishing. Some places have that. Like if we get to the point where we buy a house that has like at least 4 acres, definitely gonna want to try something like that. Doing a lot of like,
do it and don't tell your wife. So she goes to work one day, comes back, there's like a massive big hole, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And you're like, "The pond. Can't you envision this pond? It's going to be majestic."
Yeah, I mean, because it's a way to like be like a self-sustainable area. You stock the pond with fish. You have some like light farming or gardening for like certain crops and whatnot. You can pretty much and then have some like livestock. I guess you could be pretty self-sustainable with that. All it takes is just a small bit of land, and then there's going to be surplus. If you wanted to, you can always
grow your own fish, and then you become like a artisan smoker / what's the word? Where you put it in salt. What's it called? Curing.
Oh, curing, yeah.
So you could have like rainbow trout, like we have rainbow trout, and then people cure it and smoke it, and you get a lot of little enterprises.
Yeah, fish grow so fast, and when you have vegetation growing around it, it attracts flies, and fish can just live off the flies, live off eating other fish in there if they're running out of food. And
you can feed them if they're running out of food.
Yeah, you can even do that. I'm just saying that you can just have a little, not like a biome, but just have it ecologically self-sustainable. So a system where you didn't have to do much, like actually have like algae growing at the bottom, have like certain types of vegetation growing on the sides of the water, and it just attracts insects and it's simple, and fish, like you can have like one spawn and like 2 years later they're gonna be eatable size. Dinner. Yeah. And they're so good for you. It's just the fats, the omega-3s, all this other stuff. Plus they get to live hopefully kind of free from like big, like I hate the thought of like the mass commercial fishing is they just can almost take away like in the Scandinavian countries, they just had almost got rid of all the herring, even the herring that migrated over to the East Coast. So people are starting to get it. They get like, you can't just take everything out and expect everything to grow back. You have to leave some out there, and that's when greed sets in. Like, yep.
There's a Native American saying that says, "Don't be collecting herbs from from nature. Like, don't take the first one that you spot, like so that way you'll never take the last one."
Yeah. And even foragers have like a rule. It's usually like I think at least a third rule where if you find a spot that has stuff that you can eat, you don't take all of it. You just take like a third of it or a quarter of it, and you let it regenerate for the next time. Because if you take all of it, then it's not going to be there the next time you need it. So
you know what you should do, Evan? You should start a foraging company where you go out into the forests and stuff and forage for food for restaurants and stuff, because that's a really big industry now. It's foraging, because the best restaurant in the world is based on foraging.
Yeah.
So they'll go out every day, pick grasses and twigs and all edible mosses and all that type of stuff, flowers, and then they'll implement that into their dishes.
Yeah.
And I think if you get in on the ground, you might have a nice little business there on top of your coaching.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not coaching is just for fun, because I'd like to coach my kids and other kids, I guess, just so they have a just different perspective on learning. But
well, you're aware that Nebraska isn't like a super fertile landscape, most of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like at the base of the Rocky Mountains, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's kind of dry. It needs like whatever agriculture or whatever you want to do. It's going to probably have to be propped up.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to focus on rain catchers and getting the soil so it can retain most of the moisture.
This restaurant in Scandinavia is like in the middle of basically nowhere, and it all it does is pick grasses and stuff. It's not a very look up Noma, Noma restaurant in I think is it Denmark, something like that. And
was it on Anthony?
It was. He was on there, but there's also a documentary out on them becoming the world's best restaurant. And it's just things like edible grasses. Finding out what edible grasses are in Nebraska. Is there a mushroom season? You know what I mean? Finding out which ones are poisonous and which ones aren't.
Yeah. Usually, there might be. I mean, it may typically be near rivers and like trees,
pine trees.
Areas. Yeah.
Base of pine trees.
Yeah.
People do that kind of stuff all the time around here. We've got a whole bunch of like morel mushrooms, for example, are extremely plentiful up here in the spring. And then there's all kinds of strange medicinal mushrooms like the lin chi, which sells for about like $30 for a dried ounce of it or something.
Yeah, there's a good amount of chanterelles here that I like. They're my favorite, I would say, as far as mushrooms. And what are those? They're like the baby fernish type of things. What are they called? Why do I forget?
Oh, the fiddleheads.
Fiddleheads, yes.
Yeah. Those are delicious, man. Every spring I try to at least make some fiddleheads once.
Yeah, they're good. They have that nutty taste already. And then brown
wild
butter.
leeks. Like leeks are pretty common like all over the United States.
Yeah, I mean we grow leeks. It's just so fast to grow them. Something else. Yeah, I mean what's funny is I'm not sure if it's because of propaganda, but like there's such a like weeds, what we consider weeds. There's a lot of edible weeds out there.
That's what I'm saying.
And you know how there's a big push in like suburbia, maybe back in the 80s, 90s, where you want that front lawn of just grass, nice, clean, light green grass, and always pulling up all the weeds. It's like if you find some of the right weeds out there, you can just grow and eat them different days of the season.
But that's what I'm saying. Like there's a restaurant here in Australia that does that foraging, and it's in an urban setting. So they go down back streets and all that type of stuff. And then if you can, I guess the thing is if you can be like first of the season, you always get more money for that. Because I know working at a restaurant, we always wanted first of the season, mushrooms, you name it, asparagus, everything. If it was first of the season, we had to have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maple syrup is another one that they do up here.
Yeah. Love maple syrup.
And you're going to get a lot of the hipsters as well that go, oh, wow, this was like propagated in the wild and all this type of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they're doing that with water, dude. Like, go ahead, sorry.
They'll pay top dollar. There you go.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing that with water, man. They're like pulling some water out of some dirty fucking spring and they're calling it raw water. And they're selling it for an absurd price.
Yeah. There are restaurants, and if you ever go to Cambridge, Massachusetts, in Harvard Square area, there are, and even other areas, restaurants where it's just seasonal ingredients.
Ebon seasonal vegetables and grass and stuff from Nebraska. That's what I'm saying, dude.
That's hard to do in Nebraska, man. Nebraska's a hard landscape. I don't know, like, how much there is out there as far as that kind of stuff goes. I'm sure there's something.
Yeah, it would have to be near the Platte River, but it's worth checking out. There are like certain patches of for some reason or another that there's just a lot of trees or like shrubs, and it's like, why is that patch have that type of thing? And most of the time it's because they haven't been like bulldozed over.
Mm-hmm.
And you could probably find some really great stuff around those little areas.
But it's not only, like, if you look at this Noma restaurant, it's not only the things that are edible, it's also plate garnishes, like bark, moss, leaves, twigs. They say, like, they'll deliver the plate and say, look, you can't eat that, but you can eat that. But half the plate is full of things like mosses and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what you should be looking at.
Yeah.
As long as it's not poisonous, and you can say, look, if I supply a New York restaurant with this moss for, $20 $20 a pound, and you learn how to package it properly so it doesn't die or damage on the way too. I mean, why not?
Yeah. And one of the things, I'm not sure if it was a cooking show or not, but they have certain things of a plant, like, how carrots and celery have the extra, like the carrot tops and the celery, the branching off. It's like chefs would use them as part of the dishes as well, so you're not throwing out parts of vegetables that most people would typically throw out, and which also has additional nutrients that's the main part of the vegetable wouldn't have.
Dude, I watch this show.
The top parts of celery are the best. The top parts of celery are the best, man. Honestly, once you try that and you do it right. I mean, if you're not there's my father-in-law. It's like my wife from Beijing, and he makes this dish where he takes the kind of pork that you use for pulled pork, I guess. Yeah,
that looks good.
Pulled pork sandwiches, that stuff you make like real slow in a crock pot or whatever, for that. And he takes that pork, it's really fatty, super fatty, and go get that, and slice it up in like 13 little, 20 little pieces, and put it in the freezer, and then just kind of like get that out like one at a time, slice it up real thin, and then like stir fry that with like celery, just like this little thin pork, and it's got a little bit of meat but a lot of fat, and the celery, and forget what else. I mean, basically he'll put a little like soup, some kind of like weird soup or something like old that took a long time to make, or something, like a little bit of that soup in it. Sometimes that can be useful. Or like I heard from my other chef friend, like putting the end putting some of the noodle water is kind of a secret. Like if you're stir frying noodles, like save a little bit of the noodle water, put it in with it. But yeah, and the grease and things like that are always useful. Soups and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But my wife was half-assing something, putting some chicken broth in some stir fry the other day. Like, yeah, that was amazing. It's just pretty simple. Just celery and that pork, and I think maybe some ginger or garlic. I forget. It was like something else maybe. But the tops of the celery are amazing, and I never go back.
So this is a plate from Noma, and I can tell you that bit there, the rosemary bit, not edible.
Well, not the bark.
It's been fried. Yeah, but trust me, you don't want to eat rosemary on its own. You got to chop it up or whatever. Yeah. That there is a bit of pine by the look of it. Now, if you can go into a landscape where you can like plant real hardy plants like rosemary and pine bushes and stuff like that, I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't supply, that type of product to restaurants.
It's just a matter of having the right connections, like anything else. Like, you got to know the people in the restaurants, because there's a million yokels from the middle of the country trying to sell them morels or trying to, because people try it around here all the time, man. Some are more successful than others.
Yeah.
And like venison is another one that they will ship to restaurants.
If you put thyme and I always get the name wrong, I don't know that one, like rosemary, like all those. I think maybe parsley and basically the ones in that song. And if you put all those different types of things, or like those kinds of herbs in your food, I heard it like opens up. I heard it has like some kind of medicinal property, like some where forget exactly, but in my herb book and natural medicine book, like it talks about that, like those spices are kind of good for that. So like cook those with it, fry it with it is especially being super fresh. Like that's probably like
I mean the great thing with fresh herbs is it gives you a lot of nutrients, vitamins and minerals, and rather than having additives, taking vitamin pills and whatever, just add some fresh herbs to your dishes and you'll get that.
It might be that you might need to like go to some restaurants in Nebraska, and you could even sell this is like from my restaurant experience here in Victoria, Australia, or wherever, and I've cooked in some fine dining restaurants here. If you offer them like even table like branches to put on, it's fancy to put like a pine branch in the middle of the table. Things
and
like
just
that.
The smell of the pine is always nice too.
Yeah, and it's just things like that, And if you give them the option and you sell it at a reasonable price, then you especially if you're going to be foraging for it, you're not actually spending. The only thing that you're spending money on is actually going to find the stuff and packaging it, making sure it's fresh for its trip.
Yep.
Another good one to do that many people in the U.S. can do at least is wintergreen. Like just go collect some wintergreen and get it when the berries are big and ripe, and put those leaves in the oven at about like 200 degrees for, I don't know, hour and a half or something. Just keep an eye on them. And then you crush it all down into like kind of a powder along with the dried berries and everything, and you put a little bit of ginger in it. And it makes a really good tea.
Yeah. And tea's also really good. Nutrients. Oh, shoot. Why do I always do this? Wrong here. All right. So one thing that we do that's really easy, if anyone wants to do it, is grow your own bean sprouts. They grow fast within a couple of days. and they're very good. They give you good protein. They give you good nutrients, vitamins, minerals. Different ones. You can have ones that like I like putting on my salad. Ones where you could put in soup, stir fries.
I like the big fat chunky ones.
Yeah, you'll usually see these typically in Asian dishes, and these they're good for like salads and whatnot, and gives you extra little bit of a crunch.
Just got to wash them properly though. Just wash them really well.
Yep, you wash them really well. You store them in an area where there's no light and room temperature. You change it out like every day, or sometimes two or three times a day. And then you'll see them start growing, and then you'll like shake the water, let the leaves come out, and then replace the water. And then basically, like in 3-4 days, you've got bean sprouts.
The other thing you might want to check into in Nebraska are the ground cacti. Like, I don't know what kind of ground cacti they have specifically in Nebraska, but in South Dakota, they got these really nasty, like prickly pear type padded cacti that you can't see until like you're stepping on them. So watch out for that. But you might be able to harvest and eat them, because you can harvest and eat Nepali, prickly pear cactus, like the big ones that you find in the Southwest. So I wonder if you can, harvest the smaller ones that are farther north and eat them.
Yeah, well, I'm going to kind of be doing what you do, Garden, is go on these little walkabouts and explore, especially if there's any public lands. Typically, I'll probably end up exploring the edges along Platte River and look at edible foraging stuff that's there. Take a drive and see like around like the edges of like certain, how like on the side streets where you have to like drive into some certain farms, there might like still on public land, there could be like some trees and creeks that might be around that you can see if there's anything around there.
On the edge of one of those damn farms.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah, just be careful about going to near the farms, I guess. But
well, you gotta make sure, that they're above the farm.
Some runoff ditch.
Yeah. You don't want them
casting, like full arm casting into it.
And it's smelling really funky.
Yeah.
Find yourself like having to go back to Omaha to go to a park. I mean, you should like just get a place that's like a park. Make your place a park, or meet some friends that have just do that. I mean, fresh air is what's up. Making fires, look at the stars.
I mean, what I would love is plant more trees wherever I'm at, different types, and as they grow naturally, you'll end up getting different types of shrubs that'll grow alongside them, probably even certain types of mushrooms. I mean, it'll take a long time, but go ahead. And bamboo. One of the things that I want to grow is bamboo.
Bamboo grows so fast that from what they say.
Yeah.
But was it?
And the climate in Nebraska is kind of wild. Like, it's just seems kind of dry. It's just kind of a hard landscape, man.
Yeah.
Like, how well is bamboo and some of these other things going to do out there? You're going to have to selectively plant and choose, see what does well.
There are different types of bamboo that grow different rates. Of course, it's not going to grow as fast as some of the warmer climate type of bamboo. So we're going to have the colder climate like you would plant in the Northwest or the Northeast. But there's going to be a lot of sunlight. At least that's a good thing. I mean, it'll be dry and it'll be more cold than hot. I don't know. We're going to have to see.
Do you know your elevation?
I don't know. I'll check it. Let's see.
Get some goats, dude.
Goats?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want to goats.
if you get a decent block of land, get some goats, and they'll just keep everything down unless you want to have it for foraging. But then what you can do once the goats get old enough is you can send them to the abattoir and have them for dinner.
Yeah. I like goats. So goats, chickens,
sheep.
Yeah, sheep. And maybe probably no pigs. Maybe, I don't know, depends. No. I feel like a pig is just a lot of work.
You'd want animals that can kind of roam around on their own without getting into too much chaos.
Yeah.
Pigs are too intelligent.
It's primarily for eggs, and then just kill a chicken every once in a while. It's all.
Yeah.
And then if you're gonna kill a lamb, make sure you kill it at 2 years. After 2 years, the meat starts like that. It's no longer lamb after 2 years.
Yeah.
It's mutton.
Mm-hmm. And it's yuck and tough. And
you can cook the shit out of mutton, and it can turn out. I've had decent mutton before, but most of the time it's pretty bad.
Yeah, you say decent. It's like, but you want good food, not decent food.
You just got to roast it like, I don't know how it was done, but it was obviously like just basted over and over and rolled in spices over and over.
Yeah.
Cooked forever.
Yeah, but definitely you want a lot of land just so they roam, and we partition it so if they stay in one spot, nothing's going to grow back, or it's just going to be harder. So just before everything goes to waste, you move them to another area, and then they can eat in that area, and then you're basically repairing or letting where they were at grow back, rather than just keeping them in one spot and feeding them from outside. It's basically land management is all it is. If you can't manage that, you probably don't deserve to farm, in my opinion.
You don't deserve to live. Turn off the lights, Evan. Go off the grid.
I thought the reason that you elevated up beds was for the moisture. Raised beds up here in the Pacific Northwest, they could prevent the root knot or some stuff. I don't know. I don't know that much about it. It's something I'm really interested in.
Yeah. Okay, so the elevation is 1,447 feet.
And what does Boston sit at?
141 feet.
So that might take some time. Have you spent you said you lived in Houston, you said you lived in the Northwest. You changed elevations like that before for a long period of time?
Yeah. In the coast, you're going to be living kind of closer to sea level.
It has an effect on some people it doesn't.
Yeah. We'll see. I doubt I'll be affected too much. I mean, living in Seattle, because it's so hilly, that we probably lived in near the mountainous areas. So we probably lived in some higher elevation once we moved over away from more of the coastline into the mountains.
The other thing is the average humidity. That's going to affect how you feel about things at first. You'll feel all these things once you start living there for a couple of weeks. You don't feel them right away.
Yeah.
But when you change in your environments pretty drastically like that, after a couple of weeks, you start feeling these,
Yeah.
It can wear you down, or you get sick or some stupid shit. Eventually you get over it, of course, but
yeah.
What in Colorado they said drink water for the elevation.
Yeah. One of the things that I'll probably be hunting a lot of is rabbit, because of all the farm agriculture. They probably spread like crazy. I mean, they have tons to eat, so that'll be interesting. You might see me with a lot of rabbit hunting videos. If Ariel's watching, don't watch my shows.
Rabbit isn't very good for you, man.
Just a lean meat.
Doesn't have much nutritional value at all. Like people used to die of something called rabbit starvation.
Oh, that's because there's no fat on the rabbit meat. You just you just need to supplement it with fat.
I heard they have worms in summer.
Oh, you have to check their liver. So, basically, when you kill a rabbit, you can tell the condition of the meat by checking the liver. And if it's spotted, then they might have something. But if you're prepping the rabbit right, it won't affect the meat anyways. So it's just something to check.
Hunt steers, dude. Shoot for the ones with the symbols on them.
Yeah.
You'll eat all winter off of one of those. Trust.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely need a bigger freezer. I'll probably have to get a couple. I mean, most of my freezer is frozen with fish that I catch, so I'm gonna need one for fish, one with like other stuff. But I feel like for more of the big game, for like rabbits, I don't think I'm gonna be like hunting rabbits and putting them in a freezer. Just
have your fish days are over, sir. You're living in like dry Nebraska now.
They have trout stocking programs. The only problem is the trout that I've caught in there have been pretty small. Like I remember catching like 12, 13-inch trout, and I'm like, man, these guys are small. So I throw them back in, and then I catch more, and it's like I'm catching like 10, 11-inch trout. It's like, what's going on? I just probably threw back the bigger trout in the pond.
I bet the limits are stricter in Nebraska.
Nope, they're actually not.
They're not?
Yeah, I think the limit is 5. In Massachusetts, it's 3. And another good thing about Nebraska is if you want to pay up front, is you can have a lifetime license for fishing hunting, and instead of just paying every year. So I'm thinking about that. And plus, if you're a resident, it's cheaper. So, for example, I think when I looked, it was like maybe $4 or $5 grand. It's based on age as well. Like $4 and $5 grand for like your entire life. You could fish and hunt in Nebraska, and that's kind of worth it. I mean, if I live to 120, fishing hunting licenses aren't that expensive.
Yeah, like that seems a bit much, man. Like $5 grand, because you're gonna pay like what, $7,500 for a hunting license.
Yeah, let me double check. That might have been like non-resident. Time. So do you do any hunting or fishing over in Australia, Ryan? No.
Nah.
Oh yeah, you're telling me
it's really restricted here.
Yeah, that seems weird.
Plus, we're not allowed to have guns, so unless you're a serious hunter or a licensed shooter. So, and you're only allowed to kill non-native species.
Yeah. But some of the non-native species there are good, like the invasive species. Yeah. Smelt are invasive species for fish, but man, they're good eating. So it's
our rivers are full with carp.
Oh, carp, yeah,
which are no good.
They're bony. I hear have a lot of bones.
They taste like shit.
My friends and I tried to roast a carp once. We were camping, and we just caught it out of the river on a whim, on a lark, basically with a net. And we're like, all right, let's try to roast this. We'll gut and kind of try to bone this carp and put a stick through it and just roast it over the fire. That was horrible. We each took maybe half a bite out of the carp, and that was it.
All right, here it is. So hunting, resident lifetime, it's $355, which isn't bad. And then for fishing, resident lifetime, my age, 710. I guess that's the fishing costs more. But there's a combination of hunting and fishing, resident lifetime. My age is 1008. Actually, it isn't bad. It's like, that's something I might do, or I wait 7 years and then do it. No, I could just do it now. See, that's like that right there.
That's like half price.
Yeah, 1,008 for
hunting and fishing.
Yeah, for hunting and fishing,
it'd be half price. Well,
yeah, 1,008. I mean, if I did a combo for every year, it's 52. So it's like 20 year or 20 years. So after 20 years, after that, then I'm saving money. So
that was a lot cheaper than. That's a pretty cheap hunting and fishing license they have in Nebraska.
Yeah. So looks like
that package deal I'm not so sure about, but just getting the yearly one, man, that's dirt cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, $52. But you know, I think the stamps are more the bigger thing if you want to like hunt for like waterfowl and things like that. We'll see. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, I'll probably do a lot more videos. And what I'm going to try to do is try to live stream actual hunting and fishing. If they have enough cell phone towers where I have enough bandwidth. Because that'd be, I mean, you don't see that very often. You see recorded. You don't see like actual live streams of people fishing. I mean, there are fishing ones, but like hunting, not really.
That might be an issue out there, coverage.
Yeah. And
have you looked at that?
Yeah, their upload speeds are pretty bad. But we won't know until we actually get out there. And then if it matters, I'll probably rent out like a commercial space where they'll have like commercial bandwidth, where upload speed is pretty important. And of course, because it's so cheap out there, like a commercial space might not meet more than like $200 a month. So we'll see. I might actually have like a media studio where people can visit. Middle of nowhere, Columbus. But that's not the point. The point is to have everyone all over the country just having a studio, like a home studio or something, where they could broadcast and just do what we do, you know, and more.
It's going to be crazy, man. Like, how many people live in this town?
I think the population is 55,000.
No, that's not too bad. That's actually a fairly comfortable size.
Oh no, sorry, 22,000. Close to 20,000. I mean, it's just a small town. It's not like you're where everyone knows who everyone is type of town. But like probably you recognize who certain people are.
Well, that's cool. What part of the state is it in? The north?
The east.
The east?
Yeah, it's basically an hour and a half drive from Omaha, which is Omaha's really close to Iowa. And I'll probably be going to like mostly around different types of neighboring states. Colorado, I want to try and visit. It'll be like more the northeast side of Colorado.
Go check out the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Go get a hotel room.
What's
Fort Worth? Is that what it's called? Something like that in the north. Fort some crap. I don't know.
Fort Collins is in Colorado.
Okay, then that's the one. It's in the northern. I know it's the most city in northeast Colorado, and they just wanted had their own internet. That's something special about them. It's a pretty big college town. It's on the mountain, just like Denver, just like Colorado Springs, Boulder. It's like on the mountain, eastern mountain face, or whatever, or not really in the face, but the base of it. Yeah, base of the mountain. I like Boulder and Colorado Springs because they're like really right next to the mountain, like to the base. They're like really at the, and I guess Denver is too if you're all the way on the east side, so, or all the way on the west side.
Colorado's a crazy place, man. Like the eastern side of it, you're high up on those plains, right? And the clouds are like right above you. And you just got these giant grasses. It's like you're driving through some kind of weird, crazy, I don't know, the mountains are raising up 8,000 feet above you. And they have the coolest national park is in Colorado, which no one seems to know about. And it's Great Sand Dunes. Great Sand Dunes National Park. That place is incredible.
Yeah, me and my wife went there.
Oh, yeah?
Great Sand Dunes, yeah.
Did you go inside in that crazy stream? The flow
no.
stream or whatever?
No, we didn't. We were just passing through. It wasn't like our destination stop. Anyway, I'm going to share the Google map real quick. Like,
I climbed up through that and went to the top of the Star Dune.
So here's Iowa. Maybe it's better just to do the topical. No, it doesn't matter. Omaha, Columbus is right there. We are in the middle of kind of nowhere. I think once we get this little elevation spot, it looks like that might be a good place to explore. Otherwise, as you can see, if I drill down, where a lot of the cities are just following the Platte River. And I think the Platte River and any other offshoot streams, like this goes to the Loop River. It would be just kind of good areas to explore where it kind of splits off. Will be interesting. But yeah, I definitely just want to more explore upper areas that might, like the Platte River might feed into, and there's higher areas where runoff won't occur. Those are the ones where I might have an interest in as far as foraging.
That's right next to the city, man. You should scroll out and like, what are those mountains all about up to the northwest?
Northwest. There's a nature preserve. It looks like it's pretty, has a good amount of trees, natural trees. That's interesting. What are these spots? They're like black.
They could be some kind of rock formations or something. Chimney Rock, is that the one that's in Nebraska?
No.
They're
These look like marshes. Could be lakes.
Lakes or marshes, like more likely like high plains lakes.
Yeah. I'm going to have to explore and fish those spots. That looks pretty cool. Beaver Creek.
See, once you get down below the mountain ridge, that's probably the marshier areas.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you look at the river, like the that creek or whatever the fuck it was back there.
Beaver Creek.
Like if you scroll in, you'll see all the greenery and shit around it. That that looks like it's either forested or marshed up. That looks like it's marshed up.
Yeah. And I like that it doesn't seem to be like a lot of big farms around it. So that could be good. Like, yeah, this has definitely a lot of like vegetation accumulation around the creeks. That's why I like following the creeks and the rivers. They're just.
Does that creek just come right out of the mountains or what?
Not sure.
It's all along the edge of them.
Make sure it's not owned by someone.
You can. I had a landlord who did shrimp farming.
Well, if you said there was a wilderness preserve over there, then that won't be owned by anybody.
Yeah.
Look at all that irrigation. Oh my goodness. All those circles.
I know. All of that's just big agriculture.
So I translated something earlier. It's from Shunnong, the like Chinese demigod thing, like from like 2000, 3000, I don't know what years ago. This guy who like inspired and came around a long time ago and told people like how to farm or how to practice agriculture. And he's like revered and had a really big influence. So earlier you were talking about growing this around that, and like how you could like there would be certain things that would grow well under a tree. And so it reminded me of this, the main part of his thing. He says like cereal grain grows in jujubes and dates, millet under elms, soybean under Chinese scholar or the Japanese pagoda tree, Indian cardamom under plum tree, broomcorn millet or other millets under poplar trees, buckwheat under apricot, hemp, or let's say hemp, under chaseberry tree, wheat under peach, and paddies under willow. And then he specifies other stuff like that the paddies should be like in valleys, where obviously I guess in a big valley or whatever. So it's pretty interesting. I didn't translate the other parts, but that's the essential, his recommendations, his model or his advice or something. I thought it was really cool.
Can you go back to that map for a second too?
Oh, sure.
Now, if you follow the Platte River down, did you see what looked like a strip mining operation that was going? Did you see that? It's scroll in from right where you're at, where the branch meets. You see it there? Over
right
to
here?
Nope. No. Over
right here?
there. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that strip mining? It certainly looks like it.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And so you got strip mining along this river. What else have you got? It looks like you pointed out there was something going on that island over there. That could be more mining operations.
Like this little spot, or?
Like there's that dead spot over there, but then there's like some more stuff over there. Now these just could be large sandbars, some of them.
Yeah.
But that isn't a sandbar.
Yeah, that's
like,
not.
What the hell is that? Is that just farming?
That could be farming. This could be strip mining and farming.
See, I wonder if they're doing like terrace farming where that strip farming looking thing was, or if it's just strip mining.
Yeah.
So you might want to look into the quality of the Platte River.
Yeah. I know it's not going to be good, but I could do some tests. I think the better thing is any type of creeks and streams that are.
What is that? Some kind of ridiculous marina? Do you see that thing back there?
I don't know. Well, they do have like a lot of man-made type of little areas that they have, like for a housing community. They have made a little island and put like
Yep, that's where Jeff Bezos is going to go if he's staying in town and the revolution goes down.
Yeah.
He's going to flee to that moated community.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's why it's also flat, but that's also probably contributes to some agriculture demise, is like they strip mine and then they flatten and then they use it for farming.
Yeah.
But you'll end up having erosion if you don't, plant things other than crops and fertilizer in it.
Oh, there's a very large lake on top of that plateau to the northwest. Did you see that? You scrolled over it for a minute.
You mean Lake Babcock?
It was pretty big. I didn't see the name of it. But if you scroll out far enough, I'll probably be able, and go over to the northwest section of the map, I'll probably be able to spot it out.
Oh, this one? Right here?
Nope. There it is. Like, is that it? Not the Calamus Reservoir. It was a natural lake.
Like up here?
Scroll out a bit more. And then keep kind of scrolling to the northwest.
We're getting at Nebraska then.
Go south from there. Keep going a little bit farther south. I think I see the edge of it at the bottom of the screen. No, Medicine Box National Forest.
Yeah.
Anyways, I saw a big lake up there that might be worth checking out at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just all part of exploring. I think no one really thinks about exploring Nebraska or Kansas or South Dakota. But there's probably like hidden gems, hidden pockets out there.
You're gonna, no matter where you're at, you can orient yourself.
Yeah.
Exploring around.
I'll basically try to keep it. I'm going to have like a little explore Nebraska like map or like a log or diary or journal, whatever you call it.
I found a really cool place using Google Maps like this once. Like I was just looking at a map of northern Arizona. I was like, where am I going to go, man? Like, let's look at it. And it was all like hellscape brown craters, hellscape brown craters. And then there was this one patch in the middle of it that was like all green. And I was like, what the hell is that? So I scrolled into it and I looked at it, and it looked like some kind of depression in the landscape, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to check. I looked it up. It was this place called Hell's Hole. And you just wound up to the top of the mountain. And as you did, it felt like you were in El Salvador or like Guatemala or something when you got to the top of this mountain because of the intense heat. But the moisture was intense enough to support all this vegetation.
Yeah.
So then you walk down into this Hell's Hole, which was hellish, walking in and out of that thing. But it was like walking through a jungle valley. It was surrounded by cliffs. It was crazy. So you can find some really cool things just by looking at the map.
Yeah. And you live in a cool area, so you've got a lot of cool things you can explore up there.
I've explored everything like within, Jesus Christ, like a 300 or 400 mile radius easy from where I'm sitting. Like a lot, like not everything, but everything major and a hell of a lot of the minor ones. Like I've been up into northern Ontario. I've been all the way, like, from where I'm sitting. Like, I've been to, like, all over to the major sites in Michigan and northern Wisconsin. And I've been down to Mammoth Cave and the Redbird National Forest in Kentucky. And, I've been to southern Ontario. I've been through, like, the crazier parts of Wisconsin. There are some cool things to check out in Wisconsin. But it's like, now I got to take a plane to like go anywhere new, so it sucks. I just got to move someplace new again.
I met a guy who was ranting and raving about northern Wisconsin.
Well, what?
It's the coolest. It's the coolest thing. There's all these lakes. It's just amazing. It's just so pristine and so awesome. And
yeah, I'm gonna show the map again. There's what I like are finding these little creeks within large patches of trees. That there's some healthy ecosystem kind of in those spots where
because it floods up to that like level. And my theory is always like that throughout time there's like animals always going down to get a drink of water and like dropping seeds in their poop.
Yeah.
Oops. Like bringing all the diversity of everything to the creeks and rivers, and it's just when you go around creeks and rivers, it's like thick vegetation all the time.
Yeah, and these spots kind of make me wonder because there's no real water source, but there's tons of trees. It's like, where are they getting so basically the soil must be really rich here in order for the when it rains, for it to just not drain out. So that
they're kind of fed by the industrial farming operations that have gone on around them for decades and decades.
Yeah,
like the extra water, the extra nutrients.
Yeah,
it's like in Oregon, in Portland or something. There's definitely a lot huger trees before, and not just the California redwood, but there are some places where all of a sudden you see this crazy patch of trees, and there's people that just never cut it. Like, it was just their prerogative. They're the exception.
You see, all that stuff is owned, man.
Yeah, I know.
That sucks.
I mean, the creeks, they most likely could be, but
you can canoe on them, and there's private property. It's public property at like 10 feet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, once you get into a bigger body of water, or certain creeks that they can't own the water, they can own edges towards the water. But yeah, you can just get on a kayak and fish, which I might do. But it's gonna be iffy wanting to fish in those types of creeks.
This runoff creek.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. It's not even like, well, is this farming getting into this water? I mean, there's just no doubt about it. It's like,
and you can just tell what's in there just by the health of the fish. Like, if I catch like a 3-eyed fish, yeah, I'm not gonna eat that.
There's a lake that my aunt and uncle own, and they the last couple of times I went there, I caught a fish and it had like blisters on it and shit.
Yeah,
I'm good. Like, it had like some kind of like red sore. It did just look really unhealthy. I didn't even want to handle it.
I typed in Google fish runoff. Oh, damn it. Here I go again. Stop share.
You should look up one of those creeks that you're thinking about going to.
Yeah. Like, I typed in farm runoff fish. So we could just back up through.
That's terrible.
Did you know
there you go, man. Go kayaking up that thing.
Freshwater dolphin in China. And it was like, in Chinese it's called like baitun, I think.
This is Dubuque, which is in Iowa, kind of near where Snork is. A dairy farm runoff killed it.
The last known baitun or whatever it was, freshwater dolphin sighting in the Huangzi River, whatever it is I think it was like 2006. They like saw one, so it's like basically died out. I think I heard like 50% of Chinese rivers can't support any kind of fish life.
Yeah, it's just there's no balance in the water. It's just horrible.
That northwest area might be your best bet, dude. But you could also go down to like by Amarillo and stuff. Like, it's kind of crazy down there. That's not too far away from where you're at, looking at the map.
Yeah. And here's a good one. How does land affect the sea? Look at the watershed. Everything goes from top to the bottom to the ocean, from the creeks. Man, it sucks having to even think about all the stuff you have to worry about.
Well, I was joking about the Pine Ridge Reservation. You don't ever bring your kids to Wannabe or any of the towns in the Pine Ridge Reservation. But there is the Buffalo Preserve there. And right above the Buffalo Preserve is the Badlands of North Dakota. And that's closer to you than a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's a day's ride there.
Spills of pig waste kill hundreds of thousands of fish in Illinois. Oh, man. It sucks what we're doing, man. Not we, but like U.S. in general. All the stuff that we can eat and keep it clean, fish. Instead,
well, it's weird because like you know, these like it goes without saying, I guess, like tribal, you know, peoples, and I mean, it wasn't only just like little tribes around the world, like it was bigger, larger empires and stuff that were like taken over or whatever, and during under colonialism and whatnot. But these people and these tribes and they're with their ways of life, like it could have just kept on going and going and going and you know into the future, you know, who knows how long until maybe some natural calamity, right? But then we have all this science. We have all this science come from like you know, other probably like Western civilization, right? And for a large part of it, the developments, you know, industrial age, whatever else. Yeah, but like you know, it's a kind of a weird paradox. Like, I mean, like my professor presented to me in history class, like these people had these founding fathers had all these slaves, but yet they also read all these books and came up with this, you know, because they had time, leisure time, in part because of being slave owners. They had like Thomas Jefferson had like this extensive library of where he was able to be influenced by all this fresh thought, nice fresh thought and whatever, and you know, make happen, be an important part of what making happen, you know, our country. So like he was like, how do you reconcile that paradigm? And so like it's weird like to think that, you know, yeah, the water supply would have been just fine. Like even just I think yesterday I saw an article it was talking about how Coca-Cola and Nestle or something were gonna privatize like this world's second largest aquifer in under basically some tribes and stuff in South America, because it's called like because I researched like languages and a little bit, and there's like a native language. I think it's the largest native language in South America. It's like the same name as that language. I think is the name of that aquifer.
So what I was talking about earlier about having my own little pond, it's similar to this idea, and I don't know where this is at, but you can see that you're basically collecting runoff water and rainwater, and it provides water for livestock, fish, wildlife. You've got vegetation around it, trees, whatever that can grow off of it. And then naturally, flies will accumulate because of the large amounts of water. Fish can feed off of that. And then also like provides water supplies for emergencies as well. Like if I had to, we can go and boil the water or filter it. So there's a lot of good reasons for it. But yeah, to your point, there's just a lot of things to learn from what other countries can do as well, Ben. Oh,
so you're not buying like? Are you buying a farm, dude?
No, they're basically just whoa. This see this thing had like two eyes. Let me see view image.
I think that's just its snout, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
That's like, what is that? A steelhead or something?
Or coho salmon, yeah. But no, we're not going to buy a big full-fledged farm. It's just going to be just some like a small acreage or a couple acres, but we're not going to be like a big farm area. Just enough where we could rotate different type of livestock around where they could just graze, and then we could farm. Have a farm pond, or not farm, garden, or do light farming. Have a farm pond. I can have like different types of. My wife would want like a greenhouse for the winter, grow stuff. Maybe have like different type of little sheds. So I'd have my work sheds, but also have like maybe a shed for like hydroponics, maybe next to the greenhouse. Set up different things like that. And like eventually what I wanted to do is like kind of create like a homeless community like area where we just maybe able to collect, bring people over that are homeless from big cities to kind of live in and kind of do their own like farming and stuff, learn, teach them certain things, and then they can make a little bit of money, and then they can go back and see if they survive better, but basically just give them a second chance. I don't know.
There's drugs involved. It's always good to be in a different environment, like maybe away from those things.
Yeah, it'd be harder to access drugs in the middle of nowhere too.
I mean, anything that according to like psychology is like basically there's a technical term for it, but yeah, when you're in the environment where you used to like do that thing, it kind of just stimulates you. It makes it really hard not to do it.
Yeah,
it's a waste of money, man. That money is better spent on Wolfpack. It's better spent donating to TYT.
Oh yeah, the Democrats.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't waste your money on local initiatives and improving your own community. Hand it over to some fucking internet scam. You'll finally be able to put that statue of Jenk up in your yard, man. There's no zoning laws out in the middle of the fucking country. They stopped me from doing it in Boston, but they won't stop you now.
Give us a guy.
Good night.
I'll see you again.
Awesome. Yeah. I might be shutting it down.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Good really chat, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Yep. See you later.
See ya.